Welcome, everyone, to our DuskBreakers Community AMA featuring Bernie, Steven, Kevin, and Adam. My name is Joshi Sutherland. I'm the marketing manager at Metatheory. I was the community lead throughout last year, so most of you will recognize me from around Discord. Still happy to host all of our live events, AMAs, streams, reveals, all that stuff, because I really enjoy it. And with me today, Adam, Bernie, and Kevin. This time I'm going to have each of you say your role and a little bit of who you work with, actually, at Metatheory. So, Kevin, obviously, you're the CEO. We'll just get a little blurb from you first.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Kevin Lin, CEO over here at Metatheory. Work closely with everyone you see in this room, and many folks across the team. I'm based in Taipei, though, so more I guess more time spent with the Taipei team these days, although I'm sort of always on Zoom. Yeah, just work on, I don't know, various things, primarily just processing a lot of the things that are happening in our industry and making sure that we are considering all that when we build and when we expand the team. Otherwise, yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, so everyone, of course, knows everything filters up to the CEO, especially in a startup. Kevin has his hand in every sort of aspect of the business. Adam, why don't we have you go next? Go ahead and explain your title, role, and who you work with here at Metatheory.
Sure, sounds good. Thanks, Joshi. And hey, everyone. Really good to be here with you guys. See a lot of familiar faces as well. I see, D-Lu here. I see Neptune, one of our first mods in Discord. I see Coin is Easy here with the representing the Korean crew and other folks globally. I mean, ton of shout outs here. I see Edward. Yeah, good to be back. So my role is I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Metatheory. Wear a lot of hats. So I cover areas like people operations, finance, corp dev, fundraise, generally working with leadership on ideation and other strategy, filling a lot of gaps in general. I also work with some of our external stakeholders as well, from our investors to our tax advisor at Markham, general counsel, Spencer, shout out to you, and then many others. So yeah, just wear a lot of hats covering the gaps and helping things get going on the operations side.
Excellent. Very good explanation there. Next, we'll do Bernie. Go ahead.
Hey, everybody. I'm Bernie. I am the Chief Content Officer. I guess, run and produce the content strategy across all platforms and medias. Work with, of course, all the team leads, David, Kev, JT, and such. And now also working closely with all the others like Kristen and Steven to cohesively build everything together all at once. Yay, Oscar nom. Yeah, I come from traditional media or entertainment, Hollywood entertainment. Did a few shows back in the day, and so been a long time storyteller. Love helping to build and shepherd the story and the content strategy together through what we're building here at DuskBreakers and others. So yeah, glad to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. And Steven, we heard from you just a little bit yesterday, but hoping to hear more from you in this session. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself again?
Hey everybody, my name is Steve. I am the head of game development at Metatheory. I'm actually probably the newest. Yeah, I'm the newest person to the leadership team on the stage. Joined in Q4 towards the end of last year, but been in the game industry a while. If you've I worked back in the day at Sony Online on the EverQuest and PlanetSide franchise, if you're familiar with that. Worked on the Call of Duty franchise, a bunch of different places. Most recently, I was over at Niantic, where I was the executive producer for Pokemon Go. So yeah, I know Kevin from the Twitch days, and so yeah, it's exciting to be here. And yeah, I like basically run the game studios, and really excited about the the games that we have and what we're doing with them. Some of the other interactive experiences that we're going to be evolving over the next year and beyond, and some new experiences that we have kind of in the kind of in the makes right now. So excited to be here and looking forward to chatting with everybody.
Yeah, and we're obviously very grateful to have you on the team with us as the newest addition of the leadership team. So still building, still hiring. We'll get to more information on that as well later on, but you can obviously see all that stuff on the website now. First up, we thought we would do a bit of a retrospective. It is a question Meet Dlu sort of phrased in the Ideas channel a while back, but we did this a little bit in yesterday's AMA. I think it went well. So I'm just going to throw out some things from 21 and 22, the last year and the couple of months before that DuskBreakers has actually achieved. We had the Recruit Simulator into Beast Battler, those games that were playable on web, and then we needed just better gaming action. So the launcher upgrade allowed Windows users at least to play the much smoother Beast Battler version on the launcher, which was some brand new tech. We had some generative tech that we leaned into for the Gribbles in the later half of the year, the interactive story, including comic, visual novel, things like that. We did a lot of stuff. So just to ask Kevin, which plans changed throughout the year and which things were the most significant that we did actually end up launching last year?
Yeah, I mean, we launched a lot of things last year. I guess I'll start there. Well, end of 2021, we launched our first Genesis Breaker collection. And then along with that, we launched a play-to-mint game, which we call the Battle Sim. That was lean into the story, the lore around the Dusk. The Dusk is a mysterious alien spaceship that showed up above Earth. And in a time when we sort of failed to save the planet and are running out of resources, and it's the hull, the surface is covered in earth-saving, life-saving resources, and we begin to mine it. And a company called Dusk Tech pops up to manage all that on behalf of the world. And so the breakers are those miners, those workers that risk their lives every day, go up to the ship, defend themselves against alien creatures, and mine for whatever materials they can and bring them back to Earth every day. And so that Battle Sim is sort of a training simulator, a browser game that JT and our Texas team built in just about 8 weeks to both prove that we could build, that we are builders, that we can release games. Albeit this was an arcade game meant for just this play-to-mint process, a fun shooter-looter. And the second reason to build it was to combat bots, which was a big problem at the time. Well, continues to be a relatively big problem in the space. But that was another way to ensure that we were gating our allow lists for humans that could play the game. So that was that. We re-released a new version of it. That was a Beast Battler version, Boss Battler version. Per feedback from our audience, they wanted some fun boss battles, so we built that shortly thereafter and released that I believe end of January. So pretty quick follow. Again, just to show, hey, we're listening. We are the type of team that wants to really lean into this sort of co-creation process that Web3 promises. And then just to stay on the games thread, we greatly updated that game and did a lot of rebuilding, updated the graphics, updated the combat system, and added more things to the game, both more characters, more enemies, and a different type of mining process, and released it as a PC game through a launcher that we built, that if you played the game, you downloaded. And that was released in August alongside our second collection, which were the Gribbles. The Gribbles launched first as eggs and went through a whole evolution process we call the Experience that involved Gribble holders, egg holders, going through our website, reading things, going through our visual novel, playing Twilight Shift, and a variety of other missions that allowed you to earn OmniGrow, which is our first soft currency. And OmniGrow was used to up level, to evolve your eggs from level 1 to level 5. And then we had the hatching experience, which was a lot of work from Kristen and JT's teams, the product and eng teams, to build out a number of Web3 platform level tools that we will continue to use over time. Everything you see from the gallery to the hatching experience itself, the reveal experience, all the certified randomness, a lot of work from Sam on the blockchain side, to get us sort of ready to continue to, build things faster. And those Gribbles eventually hatched in November into fully rigged 3D art characters that will be that are already usable in game. You can also download your Gribbles from the website. And alongside this, we built a 3D generative art tool. We actually started to build this. Dave Nelson, Jonas, and team started to build this way back before all the cool tools like Stable Diffusion and Midjourney came out, because we realized that if we wanted to have truly unique Gribbles and allow them to evolve and breed and mutate over time, we would need our own 3D generative tool. So that's texturing, painting, sculpting, and ability to wrap around really anything. So we'll be able to use that tool for a number of, or really any new things that we build in the future, whether that's weapons or armor or items or other things. That was, I think, in a nutshell, most of the stuff that we built. I probably missed a ton of stuff, but a lot of the work we've been doing is really sort of tooling and platform level so that we can go faster and faster, particularly as we release our first NFT game coming this year, which Steve will talk about. And the other part of the question was, okay, what didn't we do? So just so y'all know, game studios generally will have multiple projects in play. So you're developing multiple games at once, testing them, trying to figure out, what's going to be a good fit for the IP or a good fit for, what's sort of prevalent in market today. And so we did have a racing game that we were working on, multiple iterations of it actually, but we've decided to table that for a bit until we get this first roguelike game out. And so we put more resources towards the roguelike game. We still have all the code, of course, for the racing game. We may revisit that at some point in the future, but we felt that roguelike was making great progress, was a good sort of timing window in market for that genre. We were excited about the genre. The genre works really well for NFT integration and collection, and so we're sort of doubling down on that for the time being. We do have other games in pre-development that, again, Steve will talk about more, but involving Gribbles and sort of a bunch of mini games that Nico and team have built. So that's I think everything in a nutshell. Josh, did I miss anything? Did I miss any part of your question?
No, I think maybe just Jolie's Journey, the comic and the visual novel.
Yes,
is maybe the only thing.
Yep, we launched a web comic series called Jolie's Journey. You can read on our website at DuskBreakers.gg. We built a visual novel tool led by Jen, and that is something we'll continue to use both on the site and in our games and potentially in other areas. And that is a way for you, our holders, our players, to really get a little bit more deeply involved in our story creation process. I think Dave will talk about this more. He talked about it yesterday as well, but what we're attempting to do, and Bernie, of course, what we're attempting to do is really build a story world where what you do, the collective actions and even the individual actions that you do have an impact on the narrative and sort of character arcs and ultimately lore of our universe. And so we really want to build this community co-development process around that. And so we built a number of tools, including the visual novel, to do that, and a lot of new things to come. So I'll leave that to the guys to talk about. But yes, that was all released. The Jolie's Journey was released sort of in the summertime, and then the visual novel was released alongside our experience and hatching experience.
Yeah. So that's again more just developing these pipelines for the first time. Metatheory also is a brand new company, only a year and a half old. So all the hiring and building and things that happen, they have to happen once in order for us to continue doing them. So 2022 was a good year of building, and now we've got great headcount, great team, and lots of pipes built. So it feels very exciting that we can start pushing things out now. So thanks for that recap. And that's about 15 minutes. So perfect timing to jump into now the present of DuskBreakers. We have a feel for the last year of our project, but now everyone who's here listening in the audience is of course interested in what's next. They've been here for a year, some of them, so definitely we had some shout outs earlier from Adam, but all of us recognize and of course appreciate all the names that we're seeing, that we've seen throughout the year: D-Lu, John Doe, Coin Easy, Lefty, bro, like all of you, of course, for me, because I've been in Discord basically every day of the last year. But yes, definitely happy to have you all here. And now we can talk about your questions directly. So burning question for Bernie. Utility, of course, is top of mind for all of our holders. We did not release a quote-unquote Gribble game in the last year, so people are wondering about utility for the Gribbles. When we were doing the hatching, we referred to them as 3D game assets, and we have 3D viewers now on the site. You can actually see all of your Gribbles in 3D right there on the site. You can download those 3D assets and drop them into editing softwares and things like that. But what is the actual planned utility for these Gribbles or breakers in the near future, and might there be a benefit to holding many breakers or Gribbles? What do you say to that?
Well, I would say that we know that we've gotten a lot of questions about utility for all of our assets, both breakers and Gribbles. And if you've heard me before and like how I approach the breakers, it's like I'm always looking at how do you make the holding of the asset consequential to the experience, whether it be through story experiences, which is something I work with directly, or whether you can build it through games. So it's always been a core value of what we're doing, and we call a spade. There isn't that much current absolute this moment utility, so I just want to acknowledge that. But we're just getting started, and we are continuing to explore. Like, we are actively working on ways to expand on the use of them as game assets, as playable assets, as identity, and these are always going to be things that we're building toward, and to get to consequentiality, the thing I always say the most, and many of my team members always quote me on that. The experience has to be consequential. Like your journey matters through the whole DuskBreakers story experience. So actively building, actively exploring ways to do it. Don't want to speak to anything and make a promise that isn't going to be kept, but it is top priority for us in a lot of the things we're playing with. And I can say that the ways that we're exploring right now have me very, very excited on what's coming.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Excellent. And we have seen in the past various, breaker utilities leak into different things, like Twilight Shift. The armed drone trait mattered a little bit. We're still playing with different ways that traits can be useful in game and other ways. Obviously, we had
absolutely
characters in the story. Go ahead.
Characters and story, and like these elements are going to continue. We know comics coming back. We know we have we'll say several canonical breakers that we've established and kind of dubbed as canonical, and they have been featured in the comic story. So and to me, like, these are nice things that are qualified as utility, but they're like really just scratching the surface of what's possible here. Absolutely, like even the armed drone, which was a pretty valuable asset in Twilight Shift as the first iteration. It's like it's still scratching the surface, right? And so like we're just getting started here, and we're continuing to explore these things. So yeah, I can say very, very, very honestly from what we're tweaking and playing with and designing, it's like yeah, this is you're only seeing like level one of like 10, you know, so pretty stoked here. Absolutely.
Awesome. And staying in the same vein, but shifting gears a little bit, obviously we're making lots of games. We're making lots of supporting lore and story elements and trying to involve everyone's, NFTs and characters as we can and as it makes sense to continue to build our vision as well as continuing to involve everyone who's a part of it. But now some questions toward maybe Adam and Kevin. Follow up to this is, it is an NFT. A lot of people treat this asset as an investment, whether or not that's, the correct thing is up for debate. But December 2021, the first mint that we had with the DuskBreakers, people were expecting, as the markets were rising crazy, I think Ethereum went from 2,500 to 4K in that 2-month span after we launched. People are, feeling like our NFTs should be investments. If they have 20, 50, 100 DuskBreakers right now, they definitely feel that impact from a year ago of making that investment. So I guess, Adam, what would you say to someone who's treating our NFTs more as an investment rather than a fun game to play?
Sure. Hey, Josh and community. Well, there's a lot of thoughts that come to mind. I think, first of all, with regards to the NFTs, the DuskBreakers, is part of this overall collection portfolio of products that we're creating. It is at the core of it. But what we're doing is we're building products and experiences for the community. There is an open market for this. The NFTs are tradable and OpenSea in other marketplaces. But when it comes to the actual NFT itself, we are seen as a product. We're building out experiences. NFT is a product. There's other experiences. There's games. There's content that are tied back to the NFT. When price fluctuations occur in a market, it'll happen. There'll be declines in a bear market. We're not worried about that in the near term. Value typically accrues to products that people really like, where utility is created, where there's magic to be unlocked. That's where we're focused on. So that's one piece of it. Another piece of it is that I think we should understand that Metatheory, the overall company that created DuskBreakers, it is a startup, right? It's a building startup, and it's a growing startup. And when it comes to startups, there's a lot of things that happen. There's products that are being built. There's teams that are being built over time. I'd like to speak to some of that in a little bit as well, right? Like the organizational growth. But all of that happens together. There's also learnings about NFTs and Web3 and blockchain and all of that occurs, especially over the past year where certain things work, certain things didn't work, right? So all that's happening in concert. So I think when people, the folks in this community, the holders of NFTs, very much are OG supporters, the NFT is part of the picture, but there's also the other piece, which is what we're building out overall for our NFTs, for DuskBreakers, for Metatheory. All of that's going to push the experience forward. If we can deliver on that and have incredible experiences, then that should be beneficial to the community members, to our holders. And when it comes to price of NFT, that's not something we can set. We're not going to pump and dump our NFTs, right? That's something we're focused on. It's something that we shouldn't really touch at all. But if we focus on experiences and the products, then the market's going to set a price by itself. So just want to share that initial reaction here.
That was a great answer, Adam. I'm glad I pointed that one at you. I think, all of that makes sense. Of course, the value will continue to accrue as we continue to, make valuable strides and products surrounding them. So makes perfect sense to me. Next, we have some more specific questions. John Doe, I believe, was in the audience. Yes, he still is. He asked a sort of follow-up question around the investment round that we got in May. It was announced last year as the Ethereum market started to fall out a little bit. So just some clarity, since we do have Adam and Kevin here. They were asking what sort of equity did our seed investors get, and how will the investors get rewarded alongside our NFT holders? That's a tough one.
I'll take that.
Adam, go ahead.
Go for it, Kev. No, after you.
I think so we raised money from, we had essentially 3 rounds. Our first round was from Dreamhaven. They're very good friends of ours from my Twitch days. They were a lot of the former Blizzard founders and an executive team, and they're sort of doing it all over again. They've been great friends and amazing advisors to us. Really couldn't get where we are getting without their advice. They're the OG, real true badass game developers. They made games like WoW and Diablo and StarCraft and Warcraft, and Hearthstone and Overwatch. The list goes on. And so they were our first round. Our second round was in January of 2022, which was a bunch of angel investors. So angel investors are typically smaller checks, but they're sort of investing at their means level, and they're over 150 of them, from games industry, social media industry, founders, other venture capitalists that invested individually, and a lot of amazing people, influencers and otherwise, that are helping us along our journey. And then we did our Series A in May. We announced in May, and that was led by Andreessen, Pantera, Dragonfly, Briar Capital, a lot of legendary investors from the Silicon Valley area, and otherwise with other investors that came in from across the globe, in addition to other angel individual investors. And so that investment, that type of investing, is in equity in the company. I'll hopefully, this isn't redundant information for people here, but just so y'all know, the way it works is you're selling shares in the company while you're private. So similar to a public company stock, but much smaller set of investors, and they get shares in the company. And generally, the way they benefit is if the company ever exits, whether we are bought by another company, or we IPO and go public. And in our case, they also get token warrants. And so if we ever do launch a token, which we plan to do once we really think through and figure out, what really makes sense. One thing we didn't do last year, just to go back to that question earlier, is we didn't launch a token. We thought about it a lot. We did a ton of research, and decided against it because we didn't think that the manifestation of it last year or the year prior was really proper. You need a much deeper game, which we are building, that involves a lot more sort of skill and sort of benefits to spending time in game, to create value, and sort of differentiated value. And so these are one of our central hypotheses on when it makes sense to have a token in game. So we didn't do that, but they also benefit from that in the future, should we release once we release. Otherwise, they're just like y'all, like any other user. They would buy their own NFTs, per the separate decision-making process in their heads, separate from investing in the company. Although a lot of investment in the company was, based on the team and the ideas we had presented in our pitch. And then, so that's on the equity side. It is fairly traditional, the sort of standard mode of investing in a startup. And they're all, professional investors or thoughtful angel investors that came in, and continue to help us along this adventure, give us advice, give us network, help us recruit great people, and share their know-how and share their learnings from other companies in the space as well. And so that's very beneficial for us to have, particularly some of the big funds, because they are really the bleeding edge of investment, bleeding edge of startups in the Web3 space. And so we learn a lot through osmosis, from them working with a variety of different companies in Web3.
Excellent answer. Adam, anything to add in that vein?
Maybe we'd probably save it for later. I'd love to touch on some of the organizational growth a little bit later after we cover the product experiences. I would say though, investors have been very helpful. Shout outs to many of them, but Andreessen in particular, and in fact, Tom Hammer from Andreessen, one of the HR partners there, has been awesome. Helped us think through a lot of I suppose best practices on the recruitment and the team management side. Helped us refer over our head of people, Eric, who's been just fantastic. There's a lot more hires to be made despite this bear market condition. Shout out to them as well as some of our other investors and collaborators.
All right. And we'll just move on from there. So the next sort of category that we did touch on yesterday a bit, but we'll bring it up again because it is relevant, is a question from Boss Bjorny. How and when will you intend to tackle the marketing aspect of the project now that play to earn and the play to earn term are becoming a, quote, wrong approach to get gamers? That is something marketing last year was a little rough because we did pivot a couple of times. So that is something we do hope to improve this year. But Kevin, I'll let you give a spiel on that.
Sure, and I'd love for others to chime in here too. I mean, generally, there's been so many different terminologies: play to earn, play and earn, play to own, GameFi. For us, the way we really think about it is we have to build full game experiences, normal games, so to speak, games that are fun, engaging, ideally cooperative or competitive or both, social, that do have what I mentioned earlier, some depth of skill reward system. And so we don't really have terminology for it. We've been thinking about what we could call it, but what you call it doesn't really matter. The experience speaks for itself. And so we are focused on building great experiences for y'all. But yeah, that was all really an attempt. I mean, the reality is what we've seen to date, for the most part, is essentially just a complex button mashing system. No real depth. Very similar to just arcade games. They're simplistic arcade games. They may be repeatable. And in fact, a lot of what you see out there, no knock to anything that's being built, everyone's experimenting, but a lot of it's just really simple. It's new skins on old, very simplistic, casual game styles, in an effort to get a token out, in an effort to get essentially what is a simplistic graphical layer on top of DeFi, right? Most of the token systems out there, what you're doing is, they're encouraging you to buy or earn tokens. You may or may not stake them for interest. And otherwise, you're hoping for the speculative nature of tokens to pump any particular token in a game. That's all marketing. And so we didn't want to do that. We didn't want to risk that. And sure enough, we made the right decision in hindsight. We didn't want to harm our users, and we're going to do our best. That's our promise to you, our promise to each other as a team, that we are very thoughtful. We do as much research as possible. We talk to experts. We learn from experts. And we integrate all that into whatever it is we may launch in the future as a quote-unquote play and earn type of game. The concept we love. This is really an extension of a lot of the work we did at Twitch of, at Twitch we thought, wouldn't it be cool if people could make money playing video games? We talked to pro players. We talked to YouTubers that were just starting to make a little bit of money back in 2009, 2010. Before the YouTube ecosystem became much more mature, as you see today. And we wanted to, build a new ecosystem, a new platform for folks to make money doing what they love as creators around video games. Of course, since then, it's expanded back into broader categories. But that was a major focus for nearly 10 years, really, just focusing on how do we build a great gaming community and create an earning relationship with them so that they could make a living and build real careers and quit their day jobs doing that. And Web3 gaming is a promise one level deeper than that. You don't even need to make content. Of course, we hope people do. You could take advantage of all these different platforms to grow your fame and grow your revenue, hopefully through our games as well. And so we want to go one level deeper so that anybody around the world could just simply play games and earn either supplemental or ideally over time. And I think this is really the long view on this, right? These short-term pumps are not sustainable generally, so buyer beware. But what we're thinking about is, how do we build systems and games and lore and other, sort of content-driven narratives around our IP, whatever IP that we build at Metatheory, starting with DuskBreakers, of course, for the long term, so that 10 years from now, those ecosystems are large, tens of millions of players, hundreds of millions of people that identify and love the IP, that then drive benefit to people who really start today. And that's the Web3 promise. Again, unfortunately, it manifested in a variety of bad ways, and not necessarily through malice. In some cases, yes, through malice, but in most cases through earnest attempts at this future promise that we as a society can just do things online and earn income, and otherwise, enjoy our lives. So that's really what we're building towards, and we'll do our best to build proper, good systems, sustainable systems that are fair, that are transparent, and that are good for people, and most importantly, fun and social. So that's what we're going for. So terminology aside, you hopefully have a general understanding of what we're doing. Hopefully we can come up with some pithy way to describe it. We think about this on a regular basis, but want to make it make sense.
Great answer. I will just point out to the people who are used to seeing me on Discord, they're used to seeing me as we'll tell you when it's ready, whenever they ask, when something is going to be ready, marketing efforts, etc. And I just kept using the analogy, we don't want to throw a party at the bar before the alcohol is there. Like we have to build the games. And now, again, we've got a great team pumping away every day. So this is all we want to do, is release great games and market them so that everyone will play them. So naturally, that is, a desire of ours as well. Adam, I see you unmuted. Do you have a 2 cents?
Yeah, really quick follow-up here. And love to get the mic over to Steve and Bernie and Dave and folks for more of the product and content side. But adding on to Kev's point, I think, Web3 promise. I also, I think it'd be helpful for the community to understand that we are a team that truly cares about, yes, long-term product and experiences, but also the user gamer perspective. So, there are many attempts where, there's a focus on the buzzy terms, right? When we talk about NFT utility earlier, Bernie spoke to it. There's terms around, I don't know, like governance token, soul-bound, interoperability, composability, financial Lego blocks. We see all of that, and we're studying all of that. There's also other levers like collectability, NFTs as an access token, passports, right? So we've been studying a lot of that, and the easier thing to do is to kind of pick up one of the buzzy terms and launch a token or whatever it may be. But I think ultimately, I think community should understand that we are a type of team to dig really deep, try to understand from a user gamer perspective, and not just to build games just for the sake of building games, but building games that incorporate some of these NFT levers in a meaningful manner. It actually changes the experience. I'll give you a very quick example. If we bring it back to basics, collectability, that's very key, right? Like NFTs, when it comes to ownership and kind of enabling this ownership over digital assets and like this feeling of being able to collect digital assets is a very powerful one. And some of that's already working. There's games out there, and many of the trading card games, battle card games, like Soul Rares, Gods Unchained, there's plenty of them. Like they're starting to work. I mean, some of them kind of got ahead of themselves with not the ones that I mentioned necessarily, but some other players got ahead of themselves, launched tokens, blah, blah, blah. But so at the core, some of it was working because it really focused on the key utility, which for them was around collectibles, right? So that's just one example. Like it's not to say like it's the only way to create value, but I think when it comes to our games, we're building games, yes, but we're also really focused on the feeling from the user gamer perspective. That's the only way to build out something long-term and kind of change the paradigm, so to speak. Focusing on buzzy terms and launching tokens as a result of that may be exciting in the near term. In the short term, maybe pumps and whatever it may be. But I just wanted to kind of emphasize that, building on Kev's point earlier. He co-founded Twitch. They spent a number of years to build things out, experiment, figure out things that work, make some mistakes along the way, but they really care about the user experience, the creator experience. We are similar in this way. I just want to make sure that we index and highlight that as we talk about other products and experiences that we're building out.
Cool. So I think that the last little nugget about marketing that we didn't really touch on is the amount of partnerships that we touched last year. There were over 30 different projects, basically, or platforms, or influencers that we cooperated with. Most of it was quid pro quo. They had giveaways, we had giveaways, etc. So this year, of course, we hope to continue building, find new partners that fit with our project, and mostly gamers. We want to find out where the Web3 gamers are. So if all of you listening and perhaps watching this VOD on YouTube have suggestions of other communities that we could look into or games that you're enjoying already, definitely do let us know in ideas and suggestions or the alpha channels here on Discord. And we're constantly looking at other projects as well, just to learn more and see what's fun. And we like to play games too. So something like Pixels has come up in the Discord a few times, and I know that everyone's enjoying that, and we've studied it as well. So I appreciate everyone just communicating with us, and if you've got a favorite project, we could end up, having some cool collaboration with them down the road. So it's not out of the question when we're as open as we are here in the Web3 ecosystem. And finally, last little tidbit. Fun fact, I was one of the first 100 Twitch partners because of my YouTube channel back in 2011. So I've known Kevin tangentially through that. We actually worked one block away from each other for a year in San Francisco when he was at Twitch and I was at IGN Pro League doing that early esports stuff. So here I am again, 12 years later, first mover here into DuskBreakers as well. Yeah. Anyway.
Bring back IPL.
I would love to bring back IPL. I'm writing a book. Don't hold me to it. But anyway, moving on, we have more to go over. Of course, Bernie and Steven are here, so we want to hear from them. Next is a question targeted toward Bernie from Boss Bjorny. David, a couple of weeks ago, did mention in Discord for the first time that we were working with VTuber and mocap content for the first time. So Bernie asks, will there be a video series like the Corrupted video from last year? And can you explain more on the explorations with VTuber and mocap content for video work?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's break that down. Will there be a series or video, I guess more videos like the Corrupted videos? I think the more, okay, so there will be more videos. Like that is a for sure, or we'll call it highly likely scenario that we're building towards. And I think as far as like the more look of it will probably match more like the elevator payday video that you saw when we launched the eggs. So more kind of cinematics like that will be coming. And there'll be other short form content too that we're playing with. Not committed to yet, but very, very close in our workshopping and piloting systems of those things. So absolutely, like from just my point of view, like I spent my whole career making videos, so this is something I'm very, very passionate about, of getting us more video content out. And it's also a new arena too for us because of new IP, art, gaming content, and all that stuff too. And then the second part, the VTuber stuff that you asked, that David mentioned and asked about. Yes, very, very much high, deep exploration in that tech. Obviously, and or if you know, Twitch has a big VTuber community as well. So Kevin and the Twitch people are very familiar with that format. I'm familiar with that format because I also used VTuber technology in the latest season of Artificial. So it is a very natural place for us to go. And I will also consider this one very highly likely without full commitment to it. A lot of time being explored, a lot of time being used to explore this area of content. And just as an example, like I was playing with some motion capture stuff literally today. So this is something that we'll be using for all sorts of things, whether it be in-game, whether it be video content, for social, for narrative. But yeah, we are going to see more of that for sure.
Excellent. And yeah, Bernie's got a whole team of helpers as well. Lots of enthused individuals excited for this sort of new technology, and the teases that we've seen internally are a lot of fun. So, I mean, I think everyone will enjoy it once we've got more work done internally and we have some things to show all of you. So keep tabs on us for those things down the line. Of course, we've got Steven here with us, and he is working on game development. So this is a perfect opportunity for us to ask him about some clarity on our game products that are upcoming. So last year, just to recap again, we had the Recruit Simulator into Beast Battler, is essentially a mod of the first version with some different gameplay, and we also messed with traits mattering in different ways. You could have a speed boost or blaster boost, etc. So that was before Steven even joined us. Twilight Shift was the next iteration in August that launched with our second collection, the Gribble Eggs. So again, Steven joined after that had already launched, but now he's got a couple of months with us and the team that developed all that stuff. So, Stephen, I guess first question really is clarity from the team on what games we're working on right now, what might be the next thing, and what might a finished product or final product look like from DuskBreakers.
Okay, thanks, Josh. So in terms of the titles we have out right now with Beast Battler and Twilight Shift, as Kevin mentioned earlier, we definitely have a big investment right now in Twilight Shift. We have a pretty major update that's in the works right now. That's planned for later this year. We're hoping Q3 timeframe. In terms of other things that we have in development, really, I guess, kind of to answer the second question you asked about, like what does a full game look like? There's no right now we don't have plans to have like basically a flagship game, which is DuskBreakers. DuskBreakers is an IP, it's a brand, it's a universe that we're building. We're building different windows into that. So I don't think the goal here is really to make one game that kind of appeals to everybody. Really, what we're looking at is trying to create interesting experiences and in the Duskbreaker universe. And should one of those kind of manifest as a game that we want to invest a lot more in, then that'll happen. And you'll probably be one of the reasons as a community why we would do that. So it wouldn't come as a surprise if we doubled down in that way. But right now, really, we are looking at the roguelike that we have with Twilight Shift is an awesome game. The updates that we have planned for it will really expand like the combat systems, the level design, almost in some ways start developing different ways to play the game, not just the kind of the rogue sneaking around sort of gameplay, and expanding that. So pretty excited about what we're going to be seeing with Twilight Shift. But in general, really it is about moving this universe forward. And so one of the other things we talked about and was part of the experience and the hatching last year was the visual novel. So we are looking to take that to the next level. We really since the narrative and the lore and the story are really important, we find that that's a really good channel to get more of that out into the players' hands, so they understand the world around them. But taking that really to the next level and making sure that like it's not just a way of disseminating information. It's really an interactive experience. So we're excited about the work that we're doing on kind of a V2 of the visual novel. And I would say the other thing that we're doing right now that I'm personally really excited about is we are working on a mobile experience that there's a bunch of different things that we want to get into it, but we really want to narrow it down to something that would be the most fun and valuable thing for our players right now. And so the question earlier, I think to Bernie about what's going on with Gribbles. If you think about the experience that we have on the website around viewing your Gribbles, just take that, expand on that from a standalone mobile experience, and in some ways start thinking of kind of your Gribble as more than just a creature from the dusk, but something that's more of a pet or a companion. And really, that's what we're prototyping right now. That's what we're experimenting with to try to get an experience out there. And each one of these experiences, while they it's important for us to make sure that they're fun and delightful. While they may be bite-sized kind of right now, all of these are really building around trying to create a more rich and interesting universe that our Duskbreaker players can kind of access in whatever way makes sense for them and in whatever genre of game that they want to play. So that's kind of where we are right now in the things that are in development for our near future. All of this stuff really comes together in a way, and I'm not going to talk about it because it definitely is a big plan for later, but it is later this year. But all these things do come together really well in the content that Bernie and team have been working on. And when we get a little bit closer to that, I'll be it'll be really exciting to start introducing some of how these experiences come together.
Great answer. Lots of moving pieces and lots of fertile ground for game development. Again, we have access to these breakers, these Gribbles. They're, interoperable 3D assets, things we're still working on. Like the motion capture could come into play later this year. So our creativity and our capability is uncharted, very high right now. So I'm excited from every tease that I see. We have our internal all hands, of course, and we show internally some of the teases and things people are working on. And I get excited every time. So very happy to have Steven helping us on the game dev side. And we are about 10 minutes to the hour, so we've got just a couple of questions left. We will move to live questions at basically the end of the hour. But just let's finish up with some team questions from Bro and Boss Ernie, and also Meet Delu just asked a couple as well, but they all kind of fit together as a category here when we talk about Metatheory. So they're basically asking any updates on the team. Is there a way that we can see the full team members working on the project? And then Delu actually asks just recently about layoff news, especially in big tech, filling headlines. How is Metatheory weathering and navigating this climate? And what does the team culture look like? These are all kind of similar questions right now that I think I could field to Kevin or Adam, if either of you would like to chime in first.
Sure.
Adam,
you
yeah, I can kick it off, and then tag team per usual. So great question. I'll try to keep this fairly efficient. So first of all, this past year, in addition to the product experiences that have been discussed, there's been a focus on team and organizational growth. So that wasn't last year anymore. December 2021, we had about 10 people, and then now everyone full time. And currently we're about 55 people. So there's been quite a bit of growth globally. We do have a website, dustbreakers.gg/team. A lot of the names are there. Not everyone's names, probably update that. So good call out. But in terms of organization growth, it's been a focus on design, engineering, product, game capabilities. We do have a US core, but we have a number of global developers and designers. We're remote first. We also have a robust team in Taiwan that's working together in person that are building the games, some of the animation, the 3D modeling, all of those experiences, led by one of our founding team members, Nelson. We've been kind of building up our people operations capabilities as well. So we have a HR team now, led by Megan, Kathy, and also Eric, who was referred over by Andreessen. Thanks again. So in terms of the question around headcount and tech layoffs and all that stuff, I'd say we're very mindful about the macro. The environment is not super healthy currently. We're being lean. I'm looking at our cash burn and our financials and all of that very regularly, as are the other executive team members. So when it comes to team, there's been a few cuts here and there, mostly for poor fit. Overall, we don't have some sort of we're going to lay off 10%, 20%, X percentage. That's not part of the plans. In fact, overall, we are hiring. We're continuing to fill in some of the key gaps. Roles like marketing head, right? More engineers always. Better systems design to help support Eric. Not Eric. I mentioned him a lot. I was talking to him earlier. Steve and team. I love to hire an accounting manager as well. We're leveling up the community side. We're hiring for roles there as well. So we're hiring for some very key roles. We're being quite lean overall and thoughtful about how we spend our cash. But we are largely focusing on our own circumstance and situation, and not and some of the layoffs in the broader market are happening. Some of the companies got ahead of themselves. We've been pretty lean overall. We continue to be lean. We're mindful about all of that stuff, and we're trying to hire for the best possible talent in the right roles.
Yeah, and just to add on the sort of macro, what's going on, particularly in tech, and apologies to anyone out there who's suffered from that, who's lost their jobs through all these layoffs that are happening, particularly in these big sort of corporate giants. Yeah, I think it's a signal. It's a signal of the really, I don't know, better way to say it than this bubble. But there's been a lot of sort of over enthusiasm, maybe some delusions of grandeur in that industry, and it's sort of, in my experience, this is just my personal experience. When organizations get too large, it just becomes slow and it becomes fat, and people tend to hire because they don't want to do work. They don't have to do work. It's easy to just put your head down, do a minimal amount of work, and get paid a really, really high salary that were sort of untenable, unsustainable in the long term. And we're seeing that manifest now in a very unfortunate way, which is all these mass layoffs of white-collar workers. And that's going to have a massive trickle-down effect in the economy that we'll really only start to see probably next year. This part of what's going on. There's a lot more going on that is creating a lot of uncertainty in many major economies. We are, as Adam said, we are still hiring. We are as careful as we can be. Many of us have experienced this before. We've experienced high growth. We've experienced this overzealousness in industries. And in fact, just to say it, I mean, we raised at peak. It's great for us. We have a lot of budget to last many years. But we're going to be careful. We do need to hire folks. Game development is difficult. It is a process that typically takes 2+ years, if not 3 or 4. And just so y'all know, some of these huge games, think, God of War, think Red Dead Redemption, think, games like that, at that level, Call of Duty, they cost hundreds of millions of dollars to build. There are many indie games that are built on just, sweat equity. People, really believing in something, not raising money. They're great examples of this. Stardew Valley, Cuphead, Valheim, and so on were really built through passion and low budgets. But it took a long time, and eventually took a publisher signing up and the addition of a lot of budget to really take them to that next level, to the mass market. And so we feel really good about our team. Our team is truly excellent. Everyone is experts in their field, in their skill set, and I think we've really hit a good stride here internally. But we will continue to add carefully to the team so that we can last the test of time and get great products out for y'all. But it is sad what's going on out there. I mean, witnessing it firsthand, just seeing how organizations can get too large and even despite that become slower. I think overall, while people are unfortunately suffering from that, is a good sign for the industry, that they're realizing, okay, we can actually do more with less. And that's why startups work. That's why there's always gaps in the market for startups to come in and innovate and disrupt, is because of this behavior you've seen from these large companies. Is while they have all the resources in the world, billions of dollars in cash, and more tapped at will, which feels like an unfair advantage, it's not necessarily true. So I think that's a lot of what you're seeing, battening down the hatches across the board. But from our perspective, we are set. We are very lucky to have great investors. We're very lucky to have raised at the right time, and to have a team of folks who are veteran and experienced in building efficient teams that can build great product. So we're feeling good. but it is unfortunate what's going on out there.
Yeah, well, it is unfortunate, as you mentioned. Lots of obviously friends in our network have been affected, and you know, it's hard to make a 5-year plan in tech, as I've individually bounced around many times, even from big companies. So definitely feel, you know, that empathy for our peers there, but we are building, and I dropped the hiring link in our AMA chat channel. So there are 7 or 8 roles right now that you can check out if you would like to join Metatheory. So thank you, Adam and Kevin, for summarizing the sort of hiring and team at the moment. So we are at the hour now. I did see a live question come in from one of our Korean holders. It's a Korean name. Apologies for not being able to pronounce it, but they're asking about localization. So I'm actually unsure. Maybe Steve or Kevin could answer about any plans for localization for our future products, because we did have webcomic and, you know, some dialogue in games that we should start thinking internationally about as well. So Korean, Chinese, Russian come to mind. Stephen or Kevin, have we begun?
Yeah, we are researching the best way to do this. We want to do this. We want to make sure that our content is available for all major markets. So while we haven't done it in the past, apologies. We do plan to add this in the future.
Excellent. Easy answer. We do want everyone to play our games. Again, this is you know, a running theme for us. So actually, to even chime on a point, Stephen mentioned mobile somewhat earlier, and JT was on our first AMA and did bring up the Mac client as well as something that we were really hoping to get done last year, but did not quite make the target. It is something we still really want for this year as well. So just to reiterate that, if you did not hear it in yesterday's AMA. I'm going to check the live thread again, but this is your chance right now for all of the live listeners to request to speak. If you have a live question to direct at any of the speakers up here, we'll leave Dave alone because I think he's in a noisy place, but anyone else that was speaking for the last hour, this is your chance to ask something directly. If you don't feel like speaking, you can type something out as well in AMA chat and we'll ask it. But in just the last couple minutes while we're waiting, we can start to say, you know, any last words, just in case no questions do come through. So we'll start with Bernie. If we wrap the show here, what are some parting words you might have for our listeners here?
Thank you for your patience. If you've been, I can understand there may be some frustration with how things have been, and we are getting better and more efficient and more productive and doing a lot of very exciting things. So just know you know that there's a lot of work being done behind the scenes with all facets of content, game, product. I mean, all the things. There's so much going on. So thanks for sticking with us. We're really excited to be building for you guys and can't wait to show you the amazing stuff that we're doing.
Yeah, let's keep it going. Stephen, any parting words for our lovely audience?
Yeah, I just wanted to say similarly, it's really exciting to be here. I definitely still have a lot to learn about this space, but you know, to something that Kevin said just a minute ago, you know, building a game team. I've built a lot of game teams over the last couple decades, and it's not something that happens overnight. And I often use that kind of sports as an analogy there, that you don't go on a championship run your first year unless you're, I don't know, the Vegas Golden Knights or something like that. But usually that doesn't happen. And but what I do see here is all the pieces really fitting in some really cool ways. A year and change in, but small but mighty, and I'm really excited to kind of build this universe, this DuskBreakers universe, and just Metatheory in general, along with everyone.
Glad to hear it. And Adam, we'll have you say any parting words next.
Sure. Yeah, thanks everyone. I'm just pumped to be here. It's like super fun and glad we're coming back here. I'll give a lot of shout outs, I suppose. But hey, shout outs to you, Joshi, and Kristen, our chief product officer, for helping to take the reins on product, invest in the community. This is really fun. She'll keep it, like the Joshi, Kristen, and Vanessa and team, Sam. They'll keep us honest, get us in here more often. This is super fun. I haven't spent as much time in Discord since this was fall of 2021 and early part of 2022. Spend more time on the rest of the operations for the company. But love this. Thankful for all of you guys. Really excited. It is not easy, but we're here for the long term. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining and for being in touch.
All right, and then I did just see a new question from Crandog come in. Are there any plans to build on the utility of the Genesis breakers invested in the last round? Own over 100 breakers. Suggestion is to use funds to buy up the breakers off the back of a major announcement. The last round was at 100 mil. We need to bring attention to the project and the NFTs. So we did address basically each part of that much earlier. I think one of the earlier questions around 15-20 minutes into this session, so the recording. But Kevin, if there's anything you would like to tack on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I think we have been very cautious about overhyping. Something I think Dave referenced yesterday, or somebody did on, we wanted to make sure that we were ready. To use Josh's analogy of the bar, like we were still really figuring out timing, testing a number of game ideas, testing a number of other project ideas, product ideas, and we feel good now. We feel like we have a very clear vision on what we're going to be releasing this year and what we'll be adding to in the future. And so we're ready. We're ready to get out there, build some hype. We do feel that what we're building is awesome and that our users will love it, and we'll start to ramp up. And then another big part of it, though, is, I think we want to add utility, quote unquote utility. I realized this the other day. The people are the utility. A lot of you supporting us, bringing friends in, promoting us, giving us feedback, pushing us to build better. That is a lot of why we're all here together. And we want to add, Kristen and I and a few others on the team have been thinking through what else can we do. A lot of other projects do things like events and merch, and we are going to do those things as well. Perhaps sometimes my brain goes to thinking too fairly. How do we make sure that everyone can participate? When in reality, the physical event space is hard. You can't expect people to go around the world 10,000 at a time to do things. And so we'll have to figure out an event strategy that touches on major markets so that our breakers can gather in the real world and get to know each other in the real space. So we want to do that as well. And one cool thing that I've learned while being in Taiwan is a lot about manufacturing and creating truly cool custom things that are unique. One thing we talk a lot about, given particularly our story universe, is what if we did merch that was sustainable? What if everything we made was recyclable? Things like that. And so expect some fun things to come out there. While we are at the core, a games company, and that is our core engagement tool, we are a content company. We're an IP company at the higher level. And so we're looking into what are these cool things that we can make? What are other cool experiences, whether physical or online, that we can add to generate higher value for our NFT holders, for our supporters? And so that's coming down the pipe as well. We're deep in the research there, so I won't say it's early stages, but we're just being really thoughtful. We want to make really cool stuff. It may start as simple merch, may start as some T-shirts and hoodies and hats and things like that. But we're looking into some really cool things like technology like 3D printing can bring us. Technology like recycled plastic clothing can bring us. Things like that. So expect some cool stuff from us coming out in the future, announcements on those things as we solidify those partners and designs and ensure that they're on point and in world, that they make sense as part of the DuskBreakers universe. So we are thinking through all this other stuff, particularly having seen what other people do. We have the benefit of that. But yeah, beyond games, beyond content, we'll be adding a lot of other holder utility. in the near future.
Yeah, it was another helpful visual. Metatheory and DuskBreakers end of 21 was a seed, and now we've got some roots sprouting, and obviously those roots are going to get bigger. And once we have some product launches, everything will just continue to grow. So things like marketing engines go a lot smoother when you have a product live and users participating daily. For example, the Twilight Shift, when it first launched, we had it as a daily play to earn OmniGrow. So we had, some experimentation with the daily hooks, seeing what people enjoyed as far as coming back weekly or every other day for Adrian's story, things like that. So we got a lot of useful data as well. So generating value really is just a factor of how much we can continue to build on and grow. And we're not slowing down. If you think of it as a linear line, even this quiet time in December and January, the line is flat. It's not going down. It's it's flat and going up every time that we actually do release something out or build something internally and share it internally for others to latch onto and improve. So feedback, participation from the community, all these things obviously help fuel that engine, that marketing engine, likes, shares, telling your friends, explaining how to get a wallet, all that stuff. It's almost a shared burden if we want to be successful or more successful. Then we just want to have everyone be a fan and enjoy the things that we're creating as well. So, I think we are starting to, dip into overtime here. I don't see any other new questions popping in at the moment, so we will go ahead and just sort of wrap things up. And since we did hear just kind of a parting words from everyone but Kevin, we'll go ahead and let Kevin say goodbye for this AMA to everyone, however you feel fit.
Goodbye for this AMA, everyone. As always, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting us. Get excited. We're super excited. We're pumped. Team is really humming. We're feeling really good. Game updates. One thing we're gonna do is just start getting more stuff out there. So would love your feedback. We're posting in Discord and Twitter, not just to have a one-way broadcast system. We really want to hear from y'all what you think. And look forward to start opening up some channels for, some play testing in the future, in the near future. Hopefully for our most dedicated holders. We'd love your feedback and thoughts on the game as it progresses. We plan on sharing a lot more, and so would appreciate any reposting, retweeting, liking, commenting, etc. Helps us a lot. As how all these social media platforms work. We'll be announcing a lot of cool things, cool partnerships, influence relationships in the near future. So stay tuned. And as always, appreciate y'all being part of this community. Can't wait to see what y'all think.
Thank you, Kevin. That will wrap it up here for our second AMA of 2023. I've got the recording going as well. If you missed the earlier portions or yesterday's, you can check out youtube.com/DuskBreakers. We'll have this one uploaded in just a couple of hours. And you can see yesterday's there already with some timestamps in the description to check out the different topics. So we'll do that again with this one after it wraps. Thank you, everybody from the team and from the audience for joining us here. We will have more AMAs in the future. We've done them on Twitter Spaces and Twitch in the past. We may revisit those areas, platforms again in the future. So Discord, it has been nice just having this sort of low-tech chat with everybody and being able to hear from various executives and founders from Metatheory hopefully was very enlightening for everyone. We hope that we were able to clarify things on game, story, tech, all that stuff that you're interested in, and we're very glad that you are interested in it. So keep the questions coming. We do want to be more visible and present, so if you want to mention people in general chat from time to time, breakers only, IRL breakers, etc., please feel free to do so. We'll at least tag each other internally if we see something that needs attention. So thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day or night, and we will see you here on discord.gg/duskbreakers and at twitter.com/duskbreakers for all of our future announcements. Of course, there is the website duskbreakers.gg. If you're just learning about the project, you can see all the galleries, stories, everything, the game launcher, mint Gribble eggs still if you like. They are 0.03 ETH each still. If you have a brand new wallet, you can go play Twilight Shift or Beast Battler and still mint some Gribble eggs. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you for the next AMA or on socials. See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Jasmine. See you, Coin Easy. Fighting. Bring the Korean army back.